Hello, today's poem we're considering is A Slash of Blue by Emily Dickinson. It's a fascinating poem and I'm sure you'll find it interesting. Before we start, if you haven't yet subscribed to our channel, it would be greatly appreciated if you would. Thank you so much. I have the poem here, so let's start. A slash of blue, a sweep of grey, some scarlet patches on the way, compose an evening sky. A little purple slipped between, some ruby trousers hurried on, a wave of gold, a bank of day, this just makes out the morning sky. This 9-line poem is remarkable, with multiple layers to explore. So let's start to unpack it. At first glance, it seems a colourful depiction of an evening and morning sky, an excellent example of word painting, where Dickinson presents an impressionistic account of the sky's colours at sunset and sunrise. She uses words like an artist might daub paint on a canvas to create a collage of images. But the poem is much more than this. When we place the poem in its historical context, written in 1860, possibly July 1861, we realise A Slash of Blue is a poem about the American Civil War. The poem may date after the 21st of July 1861, when Bull Run, the first major battle of the Civil War, was fought. If it were written earlier, the poem likely reflects Emily Dickinson's concerns that the USA would soon be embroiled in a terrible civil war. And although Dickinson does not directly address the American Civil War, she makes strong allusions throughout, as we're going to see. On first reading the poem, it seems to be about describing an evening sky. The first 4 lines, for example, a slash of blue, a sweep of grey, some scarlet patches on the way, compose an evening sky. But its subtext concerns the American Civil War. So the best way to approach the poem is to read it in terms of the description of an evening sky and a morning sky, but also to see the clues relating to warfare. On lines 1 and 2, the active verbs slash and sweep give the poem energy. We can imagine the artist busily painting the evening sky on her canvas. Yet an alternative reading suggests Dickinson is referring to opposing armies dressed in blue and grey, the colour of uniform worn by the armies of the northern and southern states respectively, as they slash at each other in a sweep of action, their speed and ferocity blurring the scene. Perhaps grey and blue also refers to thick gun smoke, and the slash and sweep to a cavalry charge. Dickinson uses personification to suggest it is the colours themselves painting the scene, and this adds extra energy to the poem. Slash is one of several puns Dickinson uses. First, it creates the image of a painter slashing paint onto a canvas when painting the sunset. Yet ominously, it also suggests the slash of a bayonet or sabre, a cavalry sword in the heat of battle. Similarly, scarlet patches can refer to patches of light at sunset, but it could also refer to the blood-soaked bandages or uniforms of wounded soldiers or to wounds. Some scarlet patches on the way is prophetic. On one level, scarlet is the colour of the sunset, yet the line also anticipates the bloodshed to be spilt as the Civil War escalates. Compose an evening sky. Again, on one level, Dickinson is describing the colours and textures which compose an evening sky. Yet evening sky connotes death, the time around sunset when the day dies. She is describing an ending, perhaps the ending of peace as war starts. A little purple slipped between, some ruby trousers hurried on. These lines introduce wry humour. They conjure an image of people rising quickly, slipping on their ruby-coloured trousers to greet the dawn and go about their work. Hurried, an active verb, adds further energy to the description. Alternatively, it suggests soldiers rising at reveille and preparing for battle. Soldiers of both sides wore ruby and purple coloured uniforms because many regiments, especially at the Civil War's start, did not wear a standard uniform. Some units wore ornate, exotic battle dress like the Zouave regiments, who adopted the dress of French North African soldiers. Such an eclectic collection of clothing often led to confusion on battlefields, and many succumbed to fire from the soldiers on their side. A wave of gold, a bank of day. Wave on line 7 can refer to the golden sunrise and waves of golden clouds illuminated by its rays, or the sun waving good morning to the world. Yet it can also refer to the waves of lines of men as they charge in battle. Wave is also an active verb, which, like slash, lends the poem energy. Wave may also refer to taking leave, waving goodbye, and this is reinforced in the pun, the homonym morning. For example, morning refers to the sunrise, but may also refer to a nation mourning its war dead. Wave also suggests continuous attacks, as in wave after wave of infantry, while gold may represent the officers in their gold braid. Dickinson is likely punning when she uses bank, which links to her earlier reference to gold. Bank could refer to gold, a form of wealth stored in a bank, but may reference the bank of soldiers lined across the battlefield. The poem is dramatic and its humour wry, dry and ironic in tone. Being written in the third person voice, the most distant and removed form of writing, acknowledges Dickinson's lack of first-hand experience of witnessing war, as she writes very much in the abstract, a slash of blue, a sweep of grey, a little purple, a wave of gold. But cleverly, Dickinson is providing us with a sense of the emotion of war. Not a factual account, but the feelings, the confusion that warfare often brings. So a fascinating poem, and let's look at its themes. And one of the poem's main themes is the creative process. In Compose an Evening Sky, Dickinson describes the artist's creative process, how inspiration by something they see has to be matched by hard work in composing the scene. For a writer, painting pictures in words, she demonstrates this by applying word painting to describe a sunset and a sunrise. A slash of blue, a sweep of grey, a little purple, a wave of gold. She compares the craft of writing to that of an artist painting a scene. Inspired by a sunset and a sunrise, the writer uses word painting to capture what she sees in words. The artist metaphor is extended. It is used throughout the poem. Compose suggests the creative process may often be prompted on viewing an inspiring sight, in this poem a sunrise or a sunset, but representing and capturing the essence of both requires craft and skill that comes only from hard work and practice. Compose is associated with other creative arts disciplines, including writing, painting, and music. So Dickens here is making a universal point regarding the creative process of many artists. Emily Dickinson uses her signature capitalisation of nouns to stress their importance: ruby trousers and morning sunrise. Yet cleverly, this is also a poem about how destruction and witnessing destruction can inspire art. Dickinson may have seen photographs or sketches of Civil War battles, possibly Bull Run, which inspired her to write this poem. Sunset and sunrise bookend the poem, giving it balance and creating a sense of change. At first, the speaker dwells on endings, a sunset, but at the end, she focuses on new beginnings, a sunrise. The sunrise offers cause for hope. It suggests that despite the present carnage, the war may bring new hope, a new America. This note of hope ends the poem. Morning sunrise is its last two words. It would have been a sentiment Dickinson was familiar with and shared with her small circle of family and friends in Amherst. They supported the Northern cause, some even fighting for the Union. The final line, just, reminds us that her hope of a positive outcome is slender, but it is enough to picture the morning sky and a clear day ahead. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you found it interesting and helpful. If you did, please hit the like button below. Also, check out our other videos on creative writing and textual analysis, including analysis of other Emily Dickinson poems. If you haven't yet subscribed to our channel, it would be greatly appreciated if you would. Thank you so much again. Until next time, write well.